Hi everyone, welcome back to Java 1 for All. In this video, we're going to continue the Singleton. Now we are going to see how we can use the lazy initialization. So let's copy the aircraft here, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and just rename it to lazy. Now, the lazy, as the name implies, it will not be created at the time we are actually loading this. So just remove it here and remove it final. And now at the get, we are going to do a quick check. So if instance is null, then instance will get a new aircraft. Now let's do some checks here. Looks like it's missing semicolon. And now let's copy the test, the eager test, and rename it to lazy. Now where you see aircraft Singleton eager, just rename it to lazy, and you can remove these two as well. Ctrl Alt O, and I think we can run Ctrl Shift F10. And as you can see, we have exactly the same result, but we have one tiny problem. As you know, if we are running this in a multi-thread environment, we may have a problem. What kind of problem? Imagine that we have two threads. One, the first check, the first thread is going to do the check. Instance is null, yes. And then before it continues to actually create a new instance, it just stops. And then comes thread number 2, happy, and then it checks, is the instance null? Yes, it is, because the first thread didn't go through. And then both of them will go to line 18, and you know the result. Probably some of the passengers will be able to book a seat that's actually not available. Now, how can we solve this problem? There are a couple ways. One, the easiest, is just add synchronize to the entire method, and that should be good. But actually, there is something that we call double lock. That's what you are going to see for the internet. First, you check if it's null, and then you synchronize the class. So aircraft Singleton lazy class. And then before you actually create the instance, it comes the double lock, because you are going to get the same if inside the synchronized, and you're going to add here. So I cannot say that's 100% thread safe, but it's pretty damn safe for most cases. Now, if you execute, of course, we are just running with one thread. We are going to get the same result, but this is a acceptable way of having a thread-safe lazy initialization of get instance method. Now, there is one, actually two. This was the first problem. There is another problem, and this one is a little bit more complex. In Java, we have something called reflection. So what is reflection? Basically, reflection is a way that Java will let you have access to some data in your classes. So for example, for reflection, you can get all the attributes that are in your class. You can change the attributes access modifier. You can change the constructor access modifier. So basically, frameworks, they use the reflection a lot. One of the downsides is it hurts, and it hurts a lot the performance of your application. And for reflection, as I said, you can change the modifier. So we can change the constructor modifier. So let's see how that works. Imagine that you just want to create a new object. So you called aircraft Singleton lazy class, and then you get the constructor. So the constructor that we have has a string argument. Add the exception to method signature, and now just introduce a local variable called constructor. Okay, now we have the constructor of the class aircraft Singleton lazy, and we know the constructor is private. And if you want to double check, if you copy this method and you add here, out, you will see that we have exactly the same instance as we saw before. But just to make sure, we have the same instance. Now we know the constructor is private, but if we do this, we call constructor set accessible true, we can do this constructor new instance, and then you just pass here, for example, the 787, 900. Exactly the same aircraft. And then you just add the method signature to keep our code clean. And then if you introduce a local variable, you have your aircraft Singleton Lazy. And if you print this out, you will notice that we have a completely new object. So this means that even though we are thread safe, there are still some things that we have to be careful. Of course, if you are working in a real company and they do have what we call code review by one of your peers, one of the developers in your team, you probably will get slapped if you do this to a Singleton class. But there is another way that we have to avoid at least this problem of having someone using the reflection to make the constructor accessible. But let's see that in the next video. So see you there. Bye.